Hi, I'm Cass, and this is my 2-loop clear of Rolling Bird. Rolling Bird is a fantastic free game on PC. It's on Steam and itch.io that's heavily inspired by Namco's Rolling Thunder, except it has procedurally generated levels. And it's a fantastic game. It is one of the few procedurally generated action games I've played where like every single piece of terrain really matters, and like you really care about the levels that you're playing through. It doesn't just feel like everything sort of reduces into homogeneous mush, like a lot of action games tend to, a lot of procedurally generated action games tend to, in my opinion. So it's a run and gun. You can jump, crouch, stand, shoot. You can't shoot while you're jumping. And there you go. You got limited ammo. You got your machine gun bullets up there and your regular bullets. You go into the doors with a picture of the weapons on them to get bullets. There you go. There's 4 types of enemies. Yellow guys are melee, green guys have grenades, pink guys shoot bullets, and the red guys also shoot bullets, but they'll do things like shoot 3 shots at a time in a little burst, or they'll do crouch shots without you crouching too. Whereas most of the regular enemies like that pink one there, the only reason that guy was crouching was because I crouched first, which is a very useful thing to keep in mind when you play through this game. Oh, there's a grenade. So, you got a regular life bar there with 8 chunks. Getting hit with a grenade takes 4 chunks, getting hit with a melee attack takes 3 chunks. But bullets are different. You get hit with a bullet and it takes away one of your bulletproof vests. You get hit with a bullet with no bulletproof vest, you just die instantly. So you in effect you have 1 health bar for bullets and 1 health bar for everything else. Which leads you into a weird situation where you're like, okay, I can't even get hit by a melee attack or I'll die, but I can take 3 bullets, or more often vice versa. So this game has limited ammo. You really want to save your you really want to conserve your ammo where you can. There you go. Enemies with shades, they take 2 hits. There you go. You mostly care about saving your machine gun bullets more than the regular bullets, because the machine gun, as far as I'm aware, is the exact same as a normal gun, but you hold the button and you get a whole bunch of bullets in a row. It's very useful. There's a big wall of enemies. Oh, the other thing, yeah, there you go, just demonstrated it there. Melee hits don't do any damage, they just, or rather, melee, like punches from enemies, those melee attacks deal damage, but if you walk into an enemy, or vice versa, you just bounce off each other like that, which doesn't deal damage in itself, but it does knock you into the air. And there's a surprising amount of situations in this game where enemies will be shooting you at head height and you'll be ducking underneath it. And of course, if an enemy runs into you during any of those situations, they knock you up into the bullet, you take a hit. So it's more dangerous than you'd think from a game where melee deals no damage. Oh, and I should also mention, you have a big super jump that takes you up to the upper floor, like I just did then. Huh. Oh yeah, and one final thing to me getting a hit then, I suppose. When you shoot, there's a little recovery animation when your character puts away his gun. Ah, there we go. And you can't jump during that time. You know, you can do more shots during that time, you can switch between standing and crouching, but you can't jump. So, whenever you go into a firefight and you shoot, you have to bear in mind that you gotta wait a good half second before you can jump out the way. There's some commitment to shooting. One important strategy of this game, which I was doing just then, is if there's a big wall, like, you know, there's 4 blocks stacked up, there's 4 boxes stacked on top of each other on the bottom floor. Okay, I just lost both my, I got punched once and lost both my bulletproof vests. So if there's big 4 boxes stacked on the floor, or there's big walls stacked on the upper area, if you can hide on the other side of one of those, so all the enemies won't be able to get directly underneath you or directly above you, then the enemies who want to chase you down have no choice but to climb upwards or climb down towards you, depending on which side you're on. So if you have enough time left, because you know you can see there's a timer at the bottom, and the rule of thumb I use is you want to be at least halfway through the stage by the time you get to 60 seconds. So you know, at that time I had enough time left, that was fine. If you have enough time left, you can just sort of, whenever you see one of those walls and there's enemies approaching you from the other, like the upper lane or the lower lane, you can just stand behind it, wait for them to all, one by one, feed themselves towards you. Yeah, and every time you get to a stage, your regular health bar fills up, and you get 1 of your bulletproof vests back. There you go. And you can only have a maximum of 2 bulletproof vests at once. Okay, so here, I knew that an enemy wave was about to spawn after the start of each stage, because it always does, like a couple seconds after it starts. And I didn't want to run underneath those grenade guys, because you may have noticed that if a grenade guy gets directly above you, they just start throwing grenades downwards, which is a terrifying situation to be in. You want to avoid that at all costs. So I walked back to force them to jump down towards me, because the enemies are always chasing you in this game. Oh, there you go. And I'm out of machine gun ammo, so I've got to use my regular bullet. Oh yeah, and that big super jump that takes you up from the lower lane to the upper lane, you can also just do it whenever you want and use it as like a big super jump to get out of pretty much any bad situation. Yeah. Oh, and speaking of using terrain to your advantage, whenever you have one of those walls there, those 2-block high walls, the walls that are about as tall as you can just wait behind one of those walls and enemies will run past you trying to get to you. Again, letting you just hide there and take them all out. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to hide behind that lower wall there because the grenade guy would have dropped grenades on me, but you get the idea. One big thing about this game, there you go, is that for the most part, the pink enemies, so not the red enemies, but the regular gun enemies, the pink and purple ones, they will not do a crouch shot unless you crouch first. So you might think, it's like, well, obviously the safest thing to do is every time you shoot an enemy you should do a crouch shot because, you know, there's no downside. It's gonna stand shot or crouch shots are both gonna hit them, and crouch shot gives you the smaller hurt box, so why not crouch? And the reason not to crouch, the reason I do a lot of stand shotting is that if you start crouch shotting, it baits all the regular gun enemies into doing crouch shots back at you. so that is why you'll see me stand shotting a lot of the time. And another thing you'll see me doing, because you have limited ammo, is I'm counting bullets as much as I can. Like, sometimes I'll waste a few. Like then I just shot a bunch of bullets because I didn't know exactly how many enemies were there, just a lot of them. So it's like, let's just hold the button down with my machine gun. But if I see like, oh, there's one sunglasses enemy and 2 regular enemies, I'll just like tap 4 bullets and preserve ammo. Whoops. I say as I waste about 8 bullets trying to hit one grenade gun. Down there, it seemed safe to drop down. If you have the choice between, you know, holding down and press jump to hop down a railing like that, or just walking off the edge is usually a little bit faster. And again, I'm doing good for time, so I hid behind that wall, waiting for the enemies to chase me. And the real worry there was that enemy who got directly beneath me and hopped up. If he hopped up into me, it would have bumped me to the side and given the other enemies time to set up some shots on me, so I was being careful for that. And here, I really didn't want to push forward there. This is like a bad situation to put myself in, but again, I knew that a couple of seconds after the game, after a stage starts, you know that another wave of enemies is spawning, so I figured that was the safe thing to do. And again, here what I'm doing is, those enemies on the left couldn't get directly beneath me, and the enemies on the right could, but most of them jumped up anyway. So I was just sitting back, spending some... I think of it as spending some time, not wasting some time. It's like, oh yeah, that timer on the bottom right, that is a resource that you spend, because there are so many points in the game that the terrain is like, look, you could use this terrain to bait all the enemies in and take them out for free. Like this here, those enemies can't get directly above me, so they're going to drop down and shoot me. And I could do that, but that's going to waste about 10 seconds. You can't do that every time. Especially if you stall at all playing through the rest of the game. But yeah, that's a big part of what this game is about, is the time limit, especially when you get further in. So I did get shot by the bullet there, which I don't think was a great choice. I think I should have just stayed crouching. There we are. Because there'll be quite a few times in this game where you're like, you see some bullets coming above your head and you see a grenade coming in and the bullets are forcing you to stay crouched so you can't move away from the grenade. You know you're getting hit and you have to make the choice. Do I want to get hit by the grenade or by the bullet? And I think then I probably should have gotten hit by the grenade instead of the bullet, but it's fine. I'm gonna get my thing back anyway, my bullet pretty fast. Because, you know, being hit by a grenade will put you one grenade shot ago. Oh, that's a nasty bit of slowdown. You know, I couldn't use my normal recording setup for this game because I didn't like it. So I was having to use an alternate recording setup that occasionally made the game slow down, and that put me on tilt right after the slowdown, so I just jumped forward without knowing what was there on the screen and couldn't shoot in the air and took a hit. So I'm blaming technical issues for that hit. But anyway, yes. Often you'll have to choose between, do you want to lose 4 chunks of your actual health bar, or do you want to, yeah, I just lost 3 chunks from the melee hit then, or do you want to lose a bulletproof vest? And you know, usually you want to lose the regular health, but it's contextual. And this thing I did then where I jumped up and got hit by a punch and lost 3 chunks of health, that was also another situation you'll find yourself in a lot in this game. Like, do I want to put myself at risk of getting hit with a punch and losing 3 chunks of health? Or do I want to sit there for 5 seconds? Wait for the enemies to move into better positions, and usually, okay then I was just about at a safe distance. And because melee hits steal 3 chunks of health and grenade hits take 4 chunks of health, like often you just want to put yourself at taking the risk of a melee hit to save time, because like time is so good. Because what I always say is, you get 1 free melee hit per stage. Because, you know, getting hit by a melee attack's so rare. I say as I somehow did it twice on that stage. But you get hit once by a melee attack, you know, you're on full health rather, you can take 2 grenades. The first grenade takes you to half health, takes you to 4 chunks rather, and the second grenade kills you. If you get hit with a melee hit, you're on 5 chunks of health. First grenade takes you to 1 chunk of health, second grenade kills you. So like, you basically got one melee hit for free. So it's often very useful to intentionally get hit by a melee attack. Okay, so this is area 8, which is the end of the second loop almost. This runs so fast. God, I just explained the rules of the game almost at the end. This game has 4 stages, and they loop indefinitely, getting harder every time. And giving the enemies more abilities, like shooting 3 shots in a row like those enemies are doing, like pulling out the guns faster. Grenade guys throw grenades further, all that stuff. But yeah, because this game has not a whole lot of enemy types, not a whole lot of terrain types, but makes each of those terrain types really matter, there aren't a whole lot of stage-specific strats. Like again, and I had a risk of getting hit with a melee attack, but I didn't really care. I was like, let's just do it, save the time. Okay, right now that looks scary though, so I'm just crouching behind the small, it was behind the big wall, because there's a big wall between me and the enemies, they all have to jump past it. I think that's pretty much it for strats. Just stay on top of the enemies, don't waste ammo. Oh, the other thing is, if it looks like a jump is going to be risky, hey, there's the tool, yay. You know, it carries on going. I die in this stage. If it looks like running somewhere is... I should have shot earlier, so I could have recovered in time to jump. If it looks like moving to the right is going to be risky, like you're going to have to do a big blind jump, you can just like fire a couple of shots and then jump behind them, so if an enemy does scroll on screen, they'll get shot straight away, which is like... You know, sort of like running behind your own sonic boom for protection in Street Fighter 2, or like doing the exact same thing in like Ghouls and Ghosts, like stage 2 when you jump across the bridge or whatever. So yeah, I've managed to get myself 1 hit away from dying, which is not the wisest thing. Admittedly, I was mostly just happy that I got the 2-hole here, so I wasn't thinking about it too hard. Again, yeah, I'm doing good for time here. I can sit back, wait for these enemies to drop down. But there were only, there we are. That was unwise of me. I was going to say, there were only melee enemies, so I could have jumped up then, but, yeah, the way I died then got a bit greedy. Oops. Anyway, thanks for watching. Go play the game. It's fun.